It's live on YouTube. All right, it's picking it up. Okay, hang on a second. All right. It's got the feed. We're ready to go. We already got 3 likes. I'm going to hit go live in 3, 2, 1. All right. Bang Zoom. We are fucking live. It is Zeralath Eternal going bare chested on this one. If you were expecting the Robert Phoenix show, my apologies. Robert's apologies, actually. Um, he really didn't have time this week or today to uh, put the show together right for the presentation and context to what we wanted to talk about, right? So he's taking a rain check, and we're gonna have him on sooner than later. But right now, Slick and I we're gonna go on with some other stuff we were talking about because some time ago I encouraged Slick basically after Christmas. I had to nudge him a handful of times to go watch Nosferatu. Uh, and not even to make the biggest deal about it for anything in particular other than all the amazing symbolism and just how much he would appreciate everything about it as a whole and have something to talk about. Um, and yeah, he was very impressed with it and had a lot of things on his mind that he had been brewing and was ready to do. And so, in lieu of not having Robert Phoenix, but us really wanting to do a thing, here's our thing: a presentation on Nosferatu and Inception protocols. And my assumption was psychic vampirism, so I threw that in the title. If that isn't appropriate, I can always amend it because I'm assuming that's where we're going with things. So Slick, how you doing, my man? Take it away.
Feeling good, doing really wonderful. Yeah, I'm glad you set me on the path to delve into this cinematic experience. And I had no idea when I was watching it what I was getting into. And I think I was only 20 minutes in and I started texting you. I was blowing you up while I was
Mm,
watching the film and
yeah.
I was trying to predict who these characters were going to develop into, and then I got a huge curveball when they cast the full light onto the Nosferatu, and it all came together. It was very gratifying. I'm excited to share some of the weaves that
All
came out of the
right.
project.
Excellent. All right. Okay. Cool. Cool. So, um, what? So let's have at it then, right? You wanted to talk about you were the one that wanted me to put my Inception protocols vernacular on this title because something about that drive stream that I did and a point I made in that drive stream was very poignant to you after watching this film. And I know what I yeah, it's definitely in there, and I'd love to hear your hot take because I haven't been thinking about the details. I want you to up my channels to respond, which is one of the things I'm really good at is the responsive side because I'm a very response able person. Yes. Anyway,
Yeah, man. I love that term. I actually on my channel I said we need a better word than predictive programming. We need a much better word because it has gone hyperbolic to the max in this day and age. We're just using these watered down old terms. And then you got in my comments and you put inception protocols.
oh,
I was,
that's right. It was in a comment.
yes. And that's when I took it and I started running with it. And then I've also coined another term, promulgation protocols. And if anybody wants to, go look up what promulgation means. I think we're really on the trail. And I think we should do an alchemical wedding with your term and my term. I think we should start calling it inception promulgation and then protocols at the end. Why not? Let's just throw it all
Okay.
together.
Inception promulgation.
Yes, promulgation is basically what Martin Luther was doing when he was hammering the 95 Theses onto the wall of that sacred location.
Hmm.
Turns out that's the same region as the Nuremberg trials is
Hmm.
the same region where Martin Luther was promulgating his theses, and it's also the birthplace of the printing press.
Hmm.
That
What is?
location where the Nuremberg trials took place, where the 95 Theses is the same place where the printing press was born, and all of those facts make for highly significant topographical, mystical implications throughout history.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Now, what is the more parsed difference between a promulgation and a propagation, as in the process of propaganda, right? What's a
Ooh,
promulgation in that difference?
wow, what a great question. Well, promulgation, the word mul is the hammer. And you will notice if you look up artistic depictions of Martin Luther, you will not find an image of that moment without his hammer in his hand. That's a very important aspect. So I would say propaganda might be just spreading it about like strawberries. It's strewn out as an offering, but I think promulgation means it's being beat into you repetitively. And I think that something that we'll be buzzing on tonight is how this is hitting from multiple venues of propaganda.
Right,
It's
right.
coming at people from all angles, not
Yeah.
just one simple artistic
Hmm.
implantation. So yeah, when it's coming from multiple angles, I think it's being beat into the consciousness
Yeah, yeah. There's a manner
aggressively.
in yeah, there's a manner in which that works. We've seen a terrible, tremendous amount of that as a kind of an inversion of the Thor principle when Thor just needs to beat back the terrible thing, right? And if we misjudge our understanding of what is a terrible, what is an evil, right? We can beat a good idea to death, right? And then we assume that it was because of the manner in which we framed it.
Yeah.
You
And
know, framing mechanisms can be a neutral term, just meaning the context. And then there's framing, as in you fabricated the context.
yes. I just learned a term recently today regarding propaganda called salience framing. And I think that that's something I have a great skill set in is salience framing, meaning so often I can see what is important in the information that other people are taking for granted or not lending a critical eye to. One example of many is like the word climate change. It's encoding Pandora, and a lot of people are a little triggered by it because it's a bit profane. Uh, I call it climb bitch agony. Climb bitch agony is describing the essence of Pandora, who was sent down to curse the humans, the mortals, and her final gift from Hermes was the spirit of a bitch in heat. And you can't find that on the internet anymore because everybody's so politically correct, recoiling from the term a bitch in heat. You might get lucky. You might find it saying a female dog, but they won't say in heat. So
Mm.
they've really watered down the mythology. And I think that a lot of our PC sensitivity makes it hard to see what was
Well,
the old ways of thinking that put these terms together.
I think like this mythology is in somebody else's tongue, right? So I think that the way that you get around that in proper academics is that you give someone a translation that doesn't translate that word, right? And then ask yourself, how does that sound? Does that sound like a name? Does that sound like a title? This word, right? Like, then break down the original word etymologically to where we get it down in English to something as crude sounding to modernity's ears as a bitch in heat. Even though that's all fucking posturing anyway, because I know plenty of bitches in heat that brag about it. So why are we denouncing women that brag about being bitches, right? We forget
Yes.
about the bitch, some women use that word to empower themselves.
I would
All
also,
the time, in fact, all the fucking time, right?
yes.
It's like it's feminism's nigga.
Oh yeah, yeah, and then some, and then some.
And then some, right?
So I also want to point out that it is astronomical. This card is the Lust card. A lot of people prefer to put this in August. I have made an adjustment and I have put it down in Libra in the 11th month as he made this the 11th card in correspondence to the Versailles deck. This is the card for Lust. He changed its name. In Libra is a dog, a wolf. It is the Lupus constellation
Right.
and it's in the fall. And so the idea of a bitch in heat might actually be hailing to a time when the seasons were thrown off. There should not be an excess of high temperature in Libra. It should be the fall time. It should be cooling down.
Mm.
And so, actually, this climate change and the Pandora's box of it all might be indicating that there have been times in the past when the seasons were thrown out of whack. And maybe it was the height of the summer in the season of Libra. And that might be what the bitch in heat is preserving. I think the more provocative it is, the longer lasting the myth will be, and the more chaotic to the mind it is. But
So,
I,
right. And when we talk about seasons, are we talking about literal weather seasons? Because this is an important distinction because we're talking about how we changed time um, either after the Ragnarok or other times after the first establishment of time. Because, we've had to upgrade things as we go, probably because the earliest of civilizations, we still hadn't completely stabilized how time was working yet, as we were still readjusting, getting new measurements, and also, you know, dealing with recovery as the ice was still receding and things like that. These would be earliest civilizations documenting time, and then we all know that things have changed, and then there was a period of time in like the early 1700s where we standardized all the calendars and shit, right? So
um,
all this stuff that's going on. Oh, and magnetic north is always migrating to this very moment. So
about to move to Siberia officially, where Tesla is on the $100 bill of the Siberian, yeah, the Siberian note.
interesting. So, all right. So we've been on this kick right now about the promulgations, the propagandas, and everything else, and we've been kind of setting up the Nosferatu conversation that we're having here. So what's this all been? What's this setup we just had been all about, Gabe?
So, as I was watching the film, and maybe you should run people through a rough outline of the
Yeah.
plot, but
Okay.
if you run them through the plot, I just was noticing immediately that these are actually historical personalities that have been, uh, I guess, boiled down or
Yeah.
reduced into fictional characters for the film. So if you lay
Yeah.
down the plot, then I'll come in and
Yeah.
I'll put the historical people in place.
Yeah, this is part of Egger's style is that he takes folklore, documented folklore of how people lived their lives as as either pagans or spiritual folk like in The Witch, and took those specific stories with specific characters, kind of found the common thread amongst all those stories, and kind of made like a mono myth to kind of give the spirit of all of it. That's why the Northman was as amazing as it was, because it echoed Beowulf, it echoed um, the Volsunga. It echoed a number of it echoed Hamlet, because Amleth is because Hamlet was based on one of the Norse sagas that they adjusted to develop the Northman. Watch my breakdown of the Northman slideshow. I'm very proud of that work.
Nice.
So Eggers does Nosferatu in a similar way. So we're getting our first vampire film that is operating off of the accurate folklore of Romanian gypsies, Romanian zombies, and vampires.
Yes, and
Right?
one more. As you mentioned, gypsies. I just want to point out that the Lupus constellation, and I've done a great amount of research around what this wolf, who is on the end of the spear of Centaurus, what is its significance culturally, and I will point out that in common law there is a terminology that is known as caput gerit lupinum. It means let him wear the wolf's head. This is an APB, an ancient, archaic, all papal bull. It's an APB, an all points bulletin. We still use these acronyms. And this APB for let him wear the wolf's head means that we have an outlaw in the community. And if you see him, you must treat him like a criminal number one. What do they call that? Public enemy number one.
Sure.
So you assign him the wolf's head, and it is so excessive that it even means if this outlaw. Oh, by the way, let me in the stars. I don't have. Maybe I have a star map. In the stars, this wolf is just outside of the Libra scales. It's outlaw. It's just south of the scales of justice. So even the word outlaw is zodiacally impeccable. And this APB, let him wear the wolf's head, is to such a degree that if this outlaw breaks into your home, you have explicit instructions to burn your own house down, or else you will be complicit in aiding and abetting this outlaw. And that we still observe this in our Constitution in the Third Amendment, that you don't even let people, soldiers, come into your house. The billeting of soldiers is immortalized in the Third Amendment. So it's a very significant dynamic socially that goes all the way back to the Ancient of Days, and it has a great amount to do with this outlaw wolf in the in the Libra time of year, the Lupus
Okay.
constellation.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And the Libra time of year is the herald to the Scorpionic time, which gives us Halloween, and this is a Christmas movie. But it's a horror film, so it's Halloween, right? So yeah, absolutely, right. So
It's even, let me say this, it's even a time of year where it would be very common for bonfires, right? The leaves have fallen, the wood, all the woods and the trees are coming down from the weather. So it's actually even a common time of year for collecting all the scraps and burning away the old. Yeah.
yeah,
And also, naked trees on the skyline are a memento mori. They're skeletons on the horizon. And so when they say that the veil is the thinnest, it is artistically gorgeous to me that we say that the veil is thinnest in the fall because all the trees are buck naked like skeletons everywhere you look.
that's yeah, that is something. The so the Nosferatu story is a it was meant to be a license copyright workaround on Bram Stoker's Dracula, because the novel, and I think like this was before Bela Lugosi, I think, right?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure this was before the first Dracula film too, because I think like back then books had the power to sue on that kind of stuff. Anyway, I can't remember which way that works, but know that it's one of those two ways. The point is that if you don't know much about Nosferatu, it's an echoing of Dracula. Now, because Dracula is based on Vlad Tepes, it's also part of a propaganda campaign against Vlad, who was, kind of like a pagan Teutonic knight of sorts, and just doing doing the right thing and getting demonized for doing the right thing. We're used to this kind of rhetoric with a lot of our friends. So, but this fictional character, Count Orlok, which is an anagram for color. which I find very interesting.
Ooh, nice one. Color of Law.
Color
Very.
of color of law, correct. And law, the main thread of occultism that is demonstrated via Count Orlok and his Renfield counterpart that we'll talk about, the real estate CEO.
What's his name? Say his name again.
The real estate CEO, I don't remember his name off the top of my head.
I was just calling him the
Ren,
broker, but
I called him Renfield because he's the ripoff of Renfield from Dracula. It serves the same function. Because there's literal storytelling beats that are direct, but also Eggers made many amazing changes because his story focus went into the woman and turning her from victim to tragic hero, which is one of the things that makes the movie really, really awesome. So Solomonic magic. Solomonic magic. There was one reference point that linked Count Orlok to a Solomonic order that existed at the time when he would have not been a zombie, right? Or not been a vampire, right? So there's aspects of the story that is telling us about how basically he was a necromancer who sought through black magic to become an embodiment of the Black Plague.
right, right. And
Yes, and
that
that's why he is a rat. He is a rat, the nose of
yes,
a rat.
yes. So I have a huge weave around the word plague. I'll try to keep it brief. In the final lines of the Bible, the last page of every Bible says, anybody who adds to or subtracts from these words will have all of the plagues herein cast upon you for your plagiarism. If you commit plagiarism, then the plagues will come and take you away. Now go in a good dictionary and look at the last word in your dictionary. It should be the word zymergy. And zymergy is defined essentially as gain of function. It's gain of function research is the last word in every dictionary that is
So
correspondent to the plagues that are promised from
wow. So
plagiarism
it's
of
the
any
it's
Bible.
the Z of Zeds.
The omega of
That's fucking
omegas.
crazy.
That's right, bro. You got it. it
Yeah.
it's a vast amount of consistency. So plagiarism, plagues, they are very much interwoven. And think about the fact that when the lockdowns happened, they were changing definitions of words. They were making allowances so that people's words could attach to whatever this experimental injection was.
Right, right.
And
They
that
were yeah, they were teaching people how to gaslight themselves through incorrect speech because they needed to hide the agenda of what they were using them for. Right? This is all baked into the Watiko, because the Watiko is the psychic aspect of this virus, right? And this is what happens in this movie. Unlike Dracula, this movie also has the aspect that the city, once he is brought in, he brings the Black Plague because he comes on a plague ship filled of rats, right?
totally,
and
totally.
and it's all and it's an open attack on the city and it's legal.
Right, right. They asked for it in a certain aspect. I just want to list some of the characters. We can call the broker Renfield. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Um, he's a crucial character. He is the I guess her name is Ellie, right? And her husband's name. What's her husband's name? Do you remember?
I'm just gonna hop on IMDb
Oh, good, good.
and just get all the fucking names right like a fucking professional.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. Yes.
All right, all right, okay. So, keep talking. I'm still pulling it up.
Right on. So yeah, I think her name is Ellie, the female, like you said, the heroic tragedy.
Yes, yes, and there's some mythology about the name Ellie that is ultra significant. Ultra.
Yeah, okay, okay. Ellie is, well, yeah. So she's married to her husband, whose name is just slipping through the cracks for me. We'll get it in a sec.
Johnny Depp is Lily Rose Depp. That's the actress. It's Johnny Depp's daughter.
She's a Depp. Oh, damn! I can't even take that. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Moving on. And then they have a couple who they are their another married couple
So
who are their best
Nicholas
friends.
Holt is Thomas Hutter, Ellen Hutter, and Thomas Hutter.
That's right. Thomas means twin. Yes, thank you. Okay,
Yes.
okay. And then they have a married couple, and their name is Anne and Frederick. And Anne and Frederick are well to do. They're already successful. They've already established themselves in the community. And so they're hoping to lift themselves up by brokering this deal. He's taken a job from the broker, Renfield, and he's going to go out into the hills, into the mountains, in the Caucasus Mountains, and he's going to broker a deal with Nosferatu that Nosferatu will gain the estate of an abandoned property, an ancient castle in the city. And if he brokers this deal, when he comes home, he's hoping that he and his wife can be springboarded into affluence and success in the community.
Mm.
And while he's out there, things go way bad because it turns out his wife, Ellie, she had seizures as a child and sold her soul to this dark force. And the dark force has come calling. Orlok.
Yeah. 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 Precisely. Um, and
Oh, and what's the vampire slayer's name? Our guy,
oh yeah. Professor Albin Eberhard von Franz.
Albin. Oh no, the von Franz is the first uh, uh, professional psychologist that helps. But who is von Franz's guru? Who they have to call on?
No, no, no.
Who?
Von Franz is Willem Dafoe's character. He's the main guy. He's the proto Jungian psychologist.
That's von Franz.
Yeah, that's Von Franz. I'm looking at IMDb right here. There is Professor. There's Doctor Wilhelm Sievers is another character.
Okay, Wilhelm Sievers is who I was getting my name switched.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's the guy who is. He's the doctor who then recommends when everything else had failed to
yeah.
go to Von Franz, the occultist.
Wow. Von Franz is actually the proto Jungian. Okay, so it turns out Carl Jung's one of his principal acolytes in history is a woman named Marie Louise von Franz. And she is brilliant. She was Carl Jung's translator, and she translated a great amount. Marie Louise von Franz. And so while I'm looking at this actor and I'm thinking of Carl Jung, they're telling me that the name of the character in the film is the same name as Carl Jung's principal acolyte, Marie Louise von Franz. And she's a Swiss Jungian psychologist who uh, was known for her psychological interpretations of fairy tales and alchemical manuscripts. And now, everybody out there, take these notes down and go run with them. There's so much to learn about these characters, as she is also known to have been the first person to claim that the way that DNA is explained to us, it comports to the structure of the I Ching. She's the first person to make this claim that DNA works just like the structuring of the I Ching.
That does not shock me even in the slightest. I probably knew that already.
You set a high bar, my friend. You set a very high bar for
I, I
shocking.
I know I'm a ridiculous human being. Don't have me in conversations. I'll just dominate it. Yeah. Uh, um, there is a Luis character in the film too, played by a Slavic woman.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So I'm just noticing that in here as well. So let's get into How do these inception protocols emerge?
You know, it is kind of it's hard for me because it comes across almost necromantically. And I don't really like calling it necromancy because we have so much a preconceived baggage that comes along with terminology like that. But essentially, if they are reanimating the body corpus of actual historical personas and packing them into fictional people and not disclosing it onto us, there is something necromantic about that. I don't know. I don't know, but it gives me the creepies and the heebie-jeebies, and I think we should give it a name that doesn't give comfort, because the amount of detail is too much for one episode. You know, we could just do a whole show on Von Franz. You know, these correspondences they unpack for days. But yeah, there is something necromantic about taking the estate, right? When people die, they have an estate, a legacy that they leave behind. And if it goes abandoned, other people can come along and attach to it and put it to their uh, use or their agenda. I get this a lot when I deal with Carl Jung. You know, I see a lot because Carl Jung worked under Alan Dulles. And Alan Dulles gave him a number, Agent 488. And so when I see this collectivism spell of Carl Jung and archetypes, as they call them, being used for social engineering purposes, I see a lot of nefariousness behind the scenes. But I don't want to point my finger at Carl Jung. I have to go through Dulles if I want to if I want to be impeccable, I have to point at Dulles and his use of what Carl Jung, his estate, his legacy that he put out. So there is something going on with the middleman managing the estate. Just a sec, I got to hit the head.
You gotta hit the hay.
I got to hit the bathroom. Be right back.
Oh, okay. Like hitting the hay means you gotta go to bed. All right, fine. Go to the. I had a thought on my mind anyway. So I was just looking up to figure it out because I hadn't realized that. I thought he had like a full name, so I wasn't sure who the hell I was looking at. So Knock is the name of the Renfield character. So you got Count Orlok and Knock, which is interesting because his name is like is like a shortened version of Count Orlok, like rearranged. It's got all the sounds and letters in there. Not all of them, but I mean, all the knock is in Count Orlok if you do it right. But anyway, and so obviously it's also knocking. It's and I think that right there you're talking about. I think that's probably the inception point in the first place, because ultimately the way the story operates itself, where it zeroes in on one character who is basically opening the portal to let the demon in, right? Because the demon was able to achieve its possession, and then through the incorporated body was able to move the demon into the city, right? And then once his job is done, his psyche is eviscerated to psychically enslave him to be of use mostly as a distraction. Okay, so I was just going over the profile of Knock, who is the real estate boss.
Oh, wow.
And I was talking about how Knock's name is inside Count Orlok.
Yeah.
And that's it. I thought he would have had a last name. His character is just Knock. He's not like Knock Ellsworth. He's not Knock Obvious Jew. He's just Knock, right? He's just a guy named Knock. And so he's obviously more of a mythological allegory. He's the one who knocks on the door. He knocks, he's the one letting the vampire in.
Yeah,
As
totally.
the real estate guy, he has been through the law, given the spiritual authority to be the invitee to the home.
That's exactly right. Really good point. So at this point, uh, can you pull up the last image? You'll notice it's the image I put together for him. I am quite sure these relationships from history have been embedded into the film. And
Okay.
the more I think about it, and the more I know about history, the more this film makes perfect, consistent sense. Yeah, it's really genius. It's really genius the way that they've put these relationships together in the film because they have so much fidelity to actual history.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, hold on a second. This thing wants me to pick. Uh, darn, it's being. I just got to pick the app to open the picture in. There we go. Thank you. Nope,
And
not
so
this one.
in the film,
One.
Knock is
First,
actually
okay, so the first one is this. I'm going to show you. I'm going to grab the one with Count Orlok and the count with the number 8 and all that.
nope, nope. The bottom one.
Okay, the bottom one. Got it.
It's got the picture of Knock in it.
Yeah,
It
yeah, yeah. Okay, got
and
it. Okay, hold on. All right, I got it.
Yep, I actually screenshotted his ritual where he's communing with the devil.
Yeah, I saw that. Good, very good. Glad you took
Yep.
that. Uh,
And just for to really call out all the details,
all
I'm
right.
pretty sure there's 15 candles right there, and 15 is the devil card. And they show
Was
his little
that is that including any candles that might be in front of him that we can't see?
just the ones we see is 15 as he's
Gotcha.
talking to the devil. 15 devil card.
Yeah, yeah.
This is Schopenhauer, y'all. This is the granddaddy of pessimism. This is the ultimate hermit card. It's almost, it even is correspondent to Yoda in the strangest way, as Yoda is the quintessential hermit of all the epics. But look how much he looks like Schopenhauer.
Right, right.
He's even got the chops. He's got the Schopenhauer chops.
And you know what? The chops make him look like he's got big Yoda ears and he's short.
Totally. Yeah, man. It is a very difficult anagram to extract, but Ebenezer Scrooge and Arthur Schopenhauer are close enough anagrams for me. And so
Okay.
Ebenezer Scrooge was a total pessimist, total hermit, total uh, controlling asshole. So yeah, Ebenezer Scrooge is also embedded with the spirit of the granddaddy of all pessimism. And this gets really fascinating because these relationships they unpack as the film rolls out. We can get into some of those other correspondences, but I
Yeah.
just want everybody to notice the drawers behind him. Those are, you know, he's a broker of estates. Those aren't exactly safety deposit boxes, but I think we could just keep a mental note about the safety deposit boxes in his office because that is going to be significant when we get to some of the future images.
Right. Well, there's got to be a right. There's got to be a secure place that he is keeping his demonic contracts. Right. You
Yeah,
know.
buddy.
Um. And you know because, and it's interesting to think about like what maybe was going on here after um either after this ritual or after uh he succeeded in setting the events in motion in getting um our main character over here to take the trip to go sell the real estate instead of making his wife fucking happy with what she wanted, right?
Yeah.
Which is part of the drama allegory of the film, um, because you know it's kind of there's kind of a challenge to manhood kind of aspect to it,
Right.
right? Like there's a certain obviousness of archetyping, that goes right down to everybody asking the question is why is the hottie running around with that fucking ugly corpse? She's really fucking that guy. just because she wants his money when he's dead, right? This is that conversation, right? This is that fucking conversation, except the guy is not deserving of getting laid.
Yeah, man. Just a quick footnote for anybody interested in Arthur Schopenhauer. I highly recommend his 38 uh, examples of bad faith argumentation. Uh, as far as I can tell, in his 38 examples of bad faith argumentation, there are a couple of repeaters. I think it's number 18 and number 32. He actually is doubling up. He's putting in two superfluous examples, which dials the number down to 36, which is a very sacred circle, 360-degree circle. And so, if anybody cares to read Schopenhauer, understand that he is doing some cryptography in his works. And I challenge you to find which two out of the 38 are repeaters. I believe it's numbers 18 and 32 are doubled up.
Okay. All right, 18 and 32. Interesting. Okay. All right. Um yeah. So were you able to catch any significance from the circle, from the magic circle he drew itself?
Yeah, it's totally a heptagram, a seven-pointed star. It's kind of flashed multiple times through the film. So
Yeah.
a lot of people are dialed to the workings of the Enochian magic and the Enochian seal with that seven-pointed star. Well, fascinatingly enough, if you look into the relationship between Schopenhauer and Goethe, they are a perfect overlay onto what we think of in the mythology of John Dee and Edward Kelly. They
Okay.
were devising a alternative theory of color and light. Orlock, color, Orlock. They were making an alternative. It was a transgressive against the Newtonian theory of color. And so they were looking through crystals, they were casting lights through crystals and writing about it. They have quite a few books about their transgressive to their time theory on how light and color really works. And
Mm.
so Schopenhauer and Goethe are actually the German derivative of John Dee and Edward Kelly.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Were they in service of their king?
That's a good question. No, I would say no because now this is a hard one to answer because the king had not arrived yet. Napoleon, the emperor, had not come on the scene. And so Schopenhauer's arch nemesis is Hegel. And Hegel was being throttled in the limelight. He was having tons of success and he was writing his body corpus and rushing it to the printing press just as Napoleon was on the horizon coming into town with the scorched earth policy. And Hegel got his works in a wheelbarrow. He takes his master corpus to the printing press just before Napoleon comes. Napoleon shows up. Napoleon actually has met Hegel, and their meeting, we probably will never know the real notes of that meeting, but Napoleon picked up Hegel and lifted him on high. And I surmise that government, as we perceive it, is the Gordian's knot of Hegel's master corpus. And nobody can untangle that language. They actually killed anybody who could decipher Hegel when they did the scorched earth. And so Napoleon was like, this dude talks circles around the greatest circle talkers there are. We're going to lift his work up because nobody can understand it. And they've built pretty much all of government because Hegel was infusing church and state in his master works. You can never take church and state apart because of Hegel. And so that happened after Goethe and Schopenhauer established their relationship. So there's your king you're asking about.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me, right? Um yeah, so yeah, I think I can pull up because it should be all over the place. Um the name of okay, so the name of that star again uh because of the number of points on it was what?
Heptad, but that's not what John Dee called it. It's some kind of seal, like a heptatopapa seal. It's a fancy long ass word,
Right.
but it is the Enochian seal that was on a wax slab. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So it's a heptagram. I think like the normal heptagram, didn't it have the uh astrological symbols on it? Is that what we saw on it?
I think it did. Yeah, I actually didn't look too close at it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get any spells put on me.
Oh gosh, jeez. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that on us, man.
But yeah, they flashed it multiple times, and I didn't know that his name was Knock. Yeah, and that's totally the seal of Enoch of Enochian works.
Yeah, that. Oh yeah, yeah. That would probably be the other reason why they called him that. It's because it's yeah, yeah. That makes sense because he's representing the one wielding the Enochian magic to bring in the demon. Yada yada yada. Absolutely.
So I'm so excited to get to the big punchline. There's a huge reveal coming, folks. Stick with us. This weave gets very immediate to present events.
Mm.
I guess if let's move to old girl Ellie.
All right.
Uh, I don't know. I guess she's the daughter of Brad Pitt, the
Yeah, this
actress,
is Lily Rose Depp. Depp, Johnny Depp.
and her name is Lily Rose. Jeez, they are working. They are working it, y'all. Lily Rose. Okay. So yeah, her name in the film is Ellie. And if you want to bring up the graphic that I sent you in the telly of Ellie,
Oh,
I'm
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me screen share. I forgot that I turned off the screen share.
yeah,
Oh,
I'm quite convinced that I have identified uh, her historical uh, counter persona.
okay.
This is Louis Salome. This is Friedrich Nietzsche's unrequited love. And she is a linchpin personality in all of the culture creators from those days. And of course, everybody who saw her would fall in love with her instantly. In the film, William Defoe, he actually says, in the days of old, you would have been a priestess of Isis.
Yeah. The setup and the delivery of that line was my one of my favorite lines in so many fucking films. I teared up a little bit. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. I fucking love that one. Yes.
That's great. That's great.
You want me to
Uh,
read? You want me to read this sidebar over here?
yeah, go ahead. Fire it off for us.
All right. So what Slick's posted over here? What sources? This is like an accurate Wikipedia clip.
This is right out of Wikipedia from the
All right.
biography of Salome.
Excellent. Okay. Nietzsche is believed to have instantly fallen in love with Salome as Ray had earlier done. Nietzsche asked Ray to propose marriage to Salome on his behalf, which she rejected. Although interested in Nietzsche as a friend, Nietzsche nonetheless was content to join Ray and Salome touring through Switzerland and Italy together, planning their commune on May in Lucerne. When Nietzsche was alone with Salome, he earnestly proposed marriage to her again, and she again rejected him. He was happy to continue with the plans of an academic commune after discovering the situation. Nietzsche's sister Elizabeth became determined to separate him from Salome, whom she described as an immoral woman. Nietzsche, Ray, and Salome traveled with Salome's mother through Italy and considered where they would set up their winter plan commune. This commune was intended to be set up in an abandoned monastery, but as no suitable location was found, the plan was abandoned. After arriving in Leipzig in October of 1882, the three spent a number of weeks together. However, the following month, Ray and Salome parted company with Nietzsche, leaving for etc. And it's the fucking plot of the movie.
It's the plot of the movie, y'all.
That's
I
amazing.
mean, tell me this isn't some kind of necromancy, Sarah Lath. Tell me
Was
there's not.
Nietzsche was fucking Nietzsche Hungarian?
Nobody wanted to be Polish. He
He
wished he
wanted
was
to be
Polish.
Polish, but because I'm now looking at the fucking mustache in new context.
It's amazing. It's uncanny. It's uncanny. So this winter plan that they had was an abandoned monastery, and I surmise that they're actually it's fan fiction of these patriarchs of psychology is really what they're doing. They're doing fan service to the original
Right.
egregores of psychology at large.
Yeah. Yeah. See that yeah, that's very interesting, right? Cuz now Count Orlok has a dimension. He's like he's the failed Ubermensch.
That's what's up. That's
That's
what's
what it
up.
is. It's the inversion of everything I'm trying to do. See? See how that
Yeah,
works?
yeah. You could think of this as that the film is taking place almost in heaven, where like so Nietzsche is Orlok. He is recluse up in the winter plan. He has found that temple that they wanted to have their commune, and he's been living it all by himself as a Ubermensch incel locked in, and he's ready to return to the city because people have forgotten about the superstitions that were keeping him at bay for so long. And because they've gone to sleep on practicing their superstitions, he knows that the time is right to bring his plague of unrequited love. Now, I want to buzz on this very. Goethe wrote a book about unrequited love that is a total tragedy. The main character gets dragged through all hell and in the end ends up killing himself. And then and then people read his book in a time of crisis. He wrote the book. I want everybody to consider how unrequited love, who is a specific erote from the Greeks, his name is Anteros. He is the Cupid, the little flitting spirit of requited and unrequited love. I want people to ponder how, when you're in an economic downturn, and you put your labor in, your blood, sweat, and your tears, and you don't get back what you put in, it signifies unrequited love on a massive scale, on a larger scale. And so when Goethe wrote that book and people read about it, it reflected their life experience to such a degree that there was a slew of seppuku. People were doing seppuku left and right after reading his book, and they blamed Goethe for proliferating pessimism in the spirit of this particular erote, whose name is Anteros. Eros is Cupid, and his brother, his counterpart, his perfect balance counterpart, is the spirit of requited love. But he doesn't always hit the mark. His brother's kind of a bad shot. And sometimes you fall in love, and the person you wish to reciprocate your feelings, they didn't get shot by Anteros. Anteros sometimes misses. And sometimes he hits the wrong person, and that person reciprocates the love, and it becomes a triangle. And Shakespeare wrote about that dynamic quite actively. So, yeah, unrequited love is kind of the base theme of Nietzsche's whole telos. So he's up in that castle, brewing and simmering and stewing his unrequited love, and this is his grand return. He's going to come back and he's going to make 3 passes on Ellie. Remember Zaralath? He says, I will come back for 3 nights, and on the 3rd night you will succumb to me. Just like Nietzsche proposed to Salome 2 times. In this film is his 3rd time, giving her a chance to reciprocate, to return his affections. And it turns into a glorious vampire slaying.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Wow, that's yeah, so that's an amazing new element. Very, very useful. Yeah, it's exactly the kind of thing that, you know, yeah, Eggers works on several levels, and you know, good thing it's working because you know, Hollywood doesn't get it, or they get it but they don't want to get it, or I don't
Yeah.
know. It's very weird. I'm glad it's working. And
One more.
he's doing a werewolf film next,
Yeah.
around a similar time period.
Damn. So Sigmund Freud has a book or a case study called The Wolf Man, and I'm quite sure everything about his Wolf Man that has a great amount to do with classism, like classism in a scale that I don't think people can really handle with their politically correct sensitivities. And I bet it'll unpack in his werewolf film. I bet he'll be drumming up the Wolfman of Freud. But I want to mention, look at at this Thoth deck priestess card. In the very opening scene, Zaralath, they show her walking in a hallway and there's light illuminating her. In the very first time we put our eyes on Ellie, the character, she is fulfilling this Thoth deck priestess card to the utmost. But then also remember all the times that the curtains are flying in the wind and the influence of the external is coming in through the windows of the soul and all those sheets and the shadow work. It's
Yeah.
totally correspondent to this priestess card.
All right. Excellent. Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. It absolutely is. Yeah. I
Yeah.
see it.
So if you want to bring up the one with the image I sent, there you
Oops.
go. That nope,
Oh,
that's the
is that the one you wanted
yep.
me to do?
You
Okay.
got it. You got it,
Oh,
buddy.
wait, of course. Yeah, rats. Yeah, yeah. Okay. And you're just throwing. I thought it was for the Muppet thing, but it is, but it's also this. So let's do it. Let's do
It's
it,
all
because
it's
here's the rat. Here's the
it's
rat.
I want to give big love and respect to my brother Chris Miner for pointing this out on my live feed. I was sharing with the fellas how the Muppets show unpacks into modern day characters on the Globe Theta. And it was Chris. I didn't put this together. I was putting a bunch of other current personalities into the Muppet Matrix. And it was Chris who said, you know what? RZA the Rat looks like Fauci. And I had an existential crisis. I couldn't believe how on point Chris was with that. And that was just my first impression of his first impression. And when I went and did the research, he was correct on 100,000 levels. I don't even know if I'll ever find all the evidence that supports Chris's statement that Fauci is this fucking rat, Zaralath.
Yeah, yeah. I
It,
can.
it
I see what's going on. Um, you know, I think. What was it? I think the Rat King was the antagonist of the Nutcracker Suite, right?
excellent, excellent. And that's
The
a Dave.
ninth. I forget if it was the '90s or the '80s, but the big film production of the stage play was so fucking like, that's like childhood psyche fuel. That film, and like the way the girl had to fight the Rat King in the end and stuff. It was very heavy. It was very heavy duty. Um, yeah, I wanted to make one quick announcement. Just letting people know that are watching this, because it looks like I might be going out on about two feeds at the same time by accident. So if you are in our live stream or whatever the other one is, you got to go to the one with the title on it. That's the one where I'm paying attention and interacting with everybody. I don't know if there's anybody over there. I think it would be self-evident to come to the one with the title if they're both the same. But anyway, I just wanted to say that for the record. Sorry about the dueling up. I'm going to take down the double.
Right on.
So yeah, yeah. Now, I'm looking at all this stuff. I'm assuming this guy on the left is mentioned somewhere in this article.
That's the voice actor who does RZA in the.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Is he always been Rizzo, or is he like the new Rizzo or something?
I think He's the original. I don't know if there's been any shifts. I don't pay that much
Yeah, I
attention
mean,
to the
like if he
details.
was a young man when he started, I could easily believe it. He looks like he's a young, healthy, like he looks like he's old, but also took awesome care of himself, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, he could be
And
your age.
right. And so uh, when Fauci hit the world stage, just as the lockdowns were percolating, as the zymergy of the lockdowns were fermenting,
Hmm.
I was actually in an interesting position to be listening to both the left and the right uh, echo chambers. And in the right echo chambers, when Fauci would come on and they would broadcast his voice on the radio, they were augmenting his voice, Zaralath, for 3 weeks in the beginning of the zymergy of the gain of function. The left, no, excuse me, the right was hearing Fauci's voice augmented to be extra demonic. They were making it deeper and scratchier than it already is naturally. And they slowly faded out of that first impression and brought everybody to hear the same voice. Do you remember RZA's voice from the Muppets?
Um, yeah, yeah. I'm hearing it in my head right now. Yeah.
It's pretty freaking scratchy, isn't it? I bet we could play them side by side and hear the correspondence, but it doesn't stop there.
So hold on. This is corresponding which to which because I was also kind of reading the liner notes while you were
Yeah,
talking,
yeah. Fauci's voice
right?
and RZA's voice are distinctly scratchy, and Fauci in reverse is I cough. It even has a Jersey accent. I cough. When you spell Fauci backwards, ICUAF. I cough because he has a scratchy voice.
Okay, gotcha.
RZA
So,
has a scratchy voice, and he was made to have a Jersey accent. That's
gotcha.
part of RZA's bio.
All right. So is Rizzo? You keep saying RZA,
Oh,
which makes
thank
me
you.
think of the rapper.
Thank you. Thank you.
Come on, man. You know Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
That's right. That's right. Respect. Respect.
Anyway, I just like excuses to say that. It's one of the few rap that I like to do. Um,
Wait, would you say Wuhan ain't nothing to fuck with?
see, there's that. See, there we go. Right. The Wuhan lab ain't nothing to fuck with.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. So,
Uh,
also, I want to point out in Rizzo's biography, he is a acrophobe, and that didn't register for me right away. I had to look it up. It turns out it's a fear of heights, and in and this just kind of pings for me, synchronistically speaking. We're going to go on a speculative branch where all the fruit is the ripest, and we're going to talk about how if RZA is afraid of heights, is Fauci afraid of the Rockefellers? Because the Rockefeller murder modus operandi is to throw people out of windows, just like the Russians. They love throwing people out of the windows, and it's in their name, Rockefeller.
right.
And so Fauci's phobia is he's afraid of the Rockefellers because they'll throw him out of a window if he doesn't do what he did. And also, Anthony Stephen Fauci is a tweaked anagram. It's one E short of enchanting you fat sheep. It's almost a perfect anagram. I need an extra E to make it fit.
I see. I see. Yeah. Um. So I'm reading right here. If you see my cursor, is this part on the bottom Fauci, and then this part on top is Rizzo the character? Is that what I'm
Yeah,
looking at?
you
Okay,
are
yeah.
correct. You
Just
are
making
correct.
sure because it talks about Fauci down here. I'm like, okay, good. He's got Fauci stuff, but where's the Rizzo stuff stop?
Yes, thank you. Yes, Rizzo is on the top and Fauci is on the bottom. And I just kind of highlighted some of the interesting quotes that they have on Fauci. He says
Yeah.
he's actually Catholic, but he
Well,
doesn't.
see, and this is an incredible correlation where it says here where they're just pointing out that Rizzo is known on the ABC thing for doing a Mother Teresa on a stick, like just like as an inappropriate kind of funny comment, right? And then that correspondence is, well, the theories that that's Fauci's mother.
What?
Look at Mother Teresa's face. Look at Anthony Fauci's face.
Bro, you just gave me the black pill goosebumps.
Yeah. No, no. This is a pretty. I don't think it's provable, but there's some crazy. It's people are keeping an eye out for it to be substantial.
Damn, bro.
You know,
They just launched
yeah.
a new Mother Teresa on the scene on the 6th of January. The Vatican knocks down 5 doors or opens 5 seals, and on the 6th day, they launch a new Mother Teresa. Simone Brambilla was launched on the 6th day. She's totally correspondent to the Empress card, or no, yeah, the Empress card over here in Pisces. Damn, there's a new Mother Teresa on the scene, y'all.
And
Uh,
her name is Simone.
Simona Brambilla, something like that.
Simona. And isn't the character we were talking about earlier Salome?
Salome, yes,
Or was it
Salome,
Wait? Is it Salome or
Salome,
Oh,
yes.
Salome with an L.
That's Nietzsche's unrequited
Okay,
love.
gotcha. Well, that's actually now that I think about it, that's like Solomon.
Yes,
Not to go back and weave on that, but just to amend to addendum at the
yeah,
moment.
yeah,
But
yeah.
no, okay, so all right, but it is kind of close. Maybe it's the feminine version,
Oh, yeah, good call.
right? So
Yeah,
then we're back in Jungian archetypes of male female psyche dynamics.
right, right. So I don't have a graphic. Well, hold on. There's just a couple more details. I want to point at the green tag on the actor. He's got that just a random green tag on his neck. And RZA's first episode was Little Green Lie, and I'm seeing that green tag as your vax your proof of vaccine that they required everybody to get into public events. Even the vice presidential debates, the moderator was wearing exactly that color wristband. So I think that this is the new color, the new triggering. I'm
Okay.
calling it triggering. Is this new color?
I've got you've got me on a hunch now. You've
Okay.
got me on a hunch now. So while we're talking, I'm gonna look up and see if a clip exists, because I'm almost certain that there's been many a times where Rizzo, as a rat, self-aware rat, in an intelligent show like The Muppet Show, has made self-referentiating, "Oh, my ancestors in the plague" kind of thing.
Yes.
I want to
Yes.
see what the most significant, perhaps foreshadowing, if it exists. So that's my hunch. Keep talking.
Yes. Okay, well, let me just mention that the word influence is deeply related to the word influenza. And it comes from a time when people believed that the stars were flying in your windows, much like when you go to the movie theater and the windows to your soul are taking in the stars. And let me just also point out that the word star in reverse is the word rats. And so
Yeah.
the stars coming through your window and influencing your psychology is high priestcraft. It is high priestcraft.
Hmm.
And I think we've got quite a bit of the formula sussed out in a major way, to the extent that I am very cautious of what I take in. I am being much more Epicurean about what pop culture I consume.
Yeah. Yeah. See, let's see. I don't know if I'm gonna find it. I probably am not gonna find it tonight.
Okay.
So I don't want to waste too much time on it. But shoot, I was also holding a response to something that you were saying was on my mind, and now I can't remember exactly what it
Okay.
was, because rats, stars, shoot, was it related to that? Darn it.
Well, let me just mention that Star Card in Aquarius, it has the glyph Hey, and Hey is it means window, among other things. It means window, and so the stars coming through your window is the key to influence. And I think that Zaralath,
Yeah.
I know that you've done some real work with Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand is
What did Ellie
totally,
do? What did Ellie do? She went through a window. She wished upon a star.
yeah, bro. That's
Ah!
yeah, man.
Ah!
They
There we
are
go. We got
working
it.
they're working the window magics. Now
Right, right, exactly. Here's the application to life, right? This is politics. This is like, oh, illegal immigrants. No, no human being is illegal, right? This is well, this is Ellie crying. Where's the world of kind? Can you blame her? She lives in Germany. I'm kidding. But no, but like this is like the first line in the movie. Like, where's any of the kindness in the world? Right? And this is before she met her husband or whatever, right? And
right.
like, ain't this a normal fucking thing with a whole lot of people? Like, guys go through this. Like, I go through this. This is like the last chick breaks up with you. The world, I'm gonna burn it. Right? This is what guys go through, right? Like ladies, they just start panicking. Just bring in foreign sexy men, right?
We want
The
exotic
Hungarians.
cuisine.
I like the mustache is so distinguished.
So she's having a seizure in that opening scene when she calls out to force, any agent from the beyond, and
Mhm.
invites this Ubermensch to come down in her fate later in life. But she's having a seizure. That is actually echoed in the Pope's Exorcist that I also watched, and it targeted me to the max. The main character's name was Gabriel, and his name was a MacGuffin of the film. I think they said it about 17 times.
Right.
But but the kid who's possessed, he's having seizures, and they have to do a injection right into his neck. And I was totally triggered at first. I had to think it through. It turns out the injection to cure seizures is actually tetrodotoxin. Tetrodotoxin. It's the pufferfish poison is the cure for seizures.
Oh,
And right now the Pope is looking like a pufferfish.
that's right. That's right. I've been thinking about that for a long ass time. Like, what goddamn fucking disease are you fucking carrying?
Right,
Right?
right. And also the pufferfish is Gnostic inside baseball, specifically Thomism. It's the Gospels of Thomas, where there is a great legacy around the Priory of Zion and the Da Vinci Code shit that says that uh, uh, Jesus faked his death and that he would have used this tetrodotoxin to make it look like he was dead just long enough that they could extract him and have the bloodline of the Christ go on to France. And I think almost all of the French royalty believed that they were fighting over sanguinity to the bloodline of the Christ.
Yeah, that makes a certain amount of sense. The Box saga says that Jesus was like they hung him up for a few hours and they threw tomatoes and shit at him, right? Like it was just a shaming ritual, and then they sent him and they kicked him out. It's just like they strung him up, made a public fucking thing of him, kicked him out, and this, that, and the other thing, right?
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like Jesus was used at the time. James True has a very interesting theory that Jesus was actually, he was a martyr junkie, right? He
Mm.
was he was into he was into people hating him. He got some sort of rush out of the outrage, right? But
Mm.
because he was kind of like he was looking for these crazy, wild experiences of pain, as such, that had a certain psychic effect, and that's how he was trying to bridge his relationship with God, right? And so he waltzed into this one fucking situation that was just super duper for Rome,
Oh man, yeah,
right?
totally. Yeah, same thing with Socrates. You know, they've got the death drive. They're determined to be their own steward to the other side. And nothing's going to give them any hesitation because that makes a great role model for soldiers of fortune down the
Yeah.
road.
Yeah. So and that would be also the other thing is that like he would have been just kind of like back in those times he would have been like a free man in the sense that like he wasn't in anybody's thing, right?
Hmm.
Like he came from like out of like a family displaced and all this stuff, and so he'd be a very off the records low status like person, you
Yeah.
know. Perhaps he was born of an artisan who did well, but and live a freaky deaky life with weird ideas about God,
Right. Right.
right? And so he got delusions of grandeur over the whole fucking thing.
So I don't have graphics for some of these other correspondences, but the whole family is here, present, and accounted for. Do you remember the family that Ellie and Thomas wanted to? Oh, you're giving away the goods. Don't give away the goods yet. Save that one for the end. That's the best
All
one.
right, all right. I thought we were at that point.
Not yet. Not
Sorry.
yet. Yeah, that's all good. That's all good.
Okay.
So before we go to the
All right.
grand unveiling, I just want to talk about the other couple in the film. Their names were Anna and uh, Frederick. Anna and Frederick was the other couple.
Right.
And
Right. Right. Right.
what my research led me to correspond is that Salome, who is the main character, she is the affluential personality of her day, who is the main reason why Anna Freud was brought into the inner circle of influence and lifted up and gained a great amount of renown and reputation. And so it blows me away. If the main character is Salome, her best friend in the film is a woman named Anna. And so when I look into Anna Freud's biography and her close relationship with Salome, it's a humdinger. And so I think that their counterparts, the relationship counterparts, signify Anna Freud and her husband Frederick. This is a trip. I think that's actually Sigmund Freud
Yeah.
because,
Freud, Frederick. Yeah.
well,
See what you
because
mean.
for many reasons, because Anna was living in the shadow of her father's success that was based on the Oedipus and the Electra complex. And
Hmm.
so for Anna to be married to a dude named Frederick, who is actually Sigmund Freud lied his ass off about how much he was indebted to Friedrich Nietzsche. He was plagiarizing Friedrich Nietzsche and not telling anybody that he was actually riding on Nietzsche's coattails.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Oh, I want to say another thing. So about the psychic,
Yeah,
the seizure, right?
yeah,
Um, like the seizure, is kind of was a side effect of the fact that like what's like because this goes back to when you quoted Willem Dafoe and his masterful line about being a priestess of Isis, and you know she had that in her, being completely bottled up by just what's going on with society, right?
yes,
Just like our society today, the unconscious, and there's nobody around you that's going to do these kinds of things for you until it gets to um, extremes, and hopefully you've got a family that's going to be slightly open-minded about it, so on and so forth, especially in a woman's position in that era.
right.
Which, not that it was some fucking oppressive like shut up woman era. It wasn't even like that. It's not even the point of the film. Just, it's just culture, it's just life, it's just where people were at in a post magical world. Post
Yeah.
magical, and you know post post like miracle as well, right? Because this is like they're all Christians, but they're all scientifically minded type of people, right? Like a lot of Christians today are just like this. I know a lot of people that go to church and synagogue and shit, but they're totally in the material sciences. They still believe in God, but
Mhm.
um
And
they're not using the Bible as their cosmology,
yeah, and
right? Science is still their cosmology.
right. And
So
I have heard some Catholics complain that the church at large has abandoned the miracles. And if they wanted to make it appealing to the kids, to the younger generation, then they would bring the miracles back out and really buzz on all of the miracles. And I think that's a fascinating defeat that science has actually stifled the miracles of the Bible, and therefore it's not catching on to the younger generation. I think that's a pretty
mm,
potent observation.
right. Well, I mean, like, I think that miracles, it's kind of like it's like the nature of, for instance, the nature of the authentic crop circles, right? The ones that are actually being dropped by what, in my opinion, are effectively the faith folk, right? So these little uh, you know devil circles, that is one of the other names, that I forget exactly what the name of it. It's got like devil in the title. But my point is that, like, there was a certain point where the nature of them became more complicated, right? Like the mission of expressing themselves this way was no longer needed. The time changed, so the strategy changed and the novelty changed. And then the novelty kind of wore off, where still crop circles emerge, but there's very few and far between that are like knocking your socks off with all sorts of new data, right?
Right.
All sorts of new symbols to study or meditate upon, so on and so
Yeah.
forth, right? So there's been a decline in the Fey activity, um, and that's just because it's a reaction to us, right? Just like the paranormal side of the drone event that happened in New Jersey, um, was effectively that the Fae were coming out and doing a light show. You guys got to
Right.
fucking, like, I envy New Jersey for fucking getting to have that, but they got that for like bad reasons. It was coming from psychic stress. It's coming from
Yeah.
psychic stress. It's all fucking related to the existential threat that they were feeling because of their irrational um misunderstanding about what just happened to the country, right? And
Yeah.
and that, because that's how real, like, that's what they're doing because of their level of cognitive dissonance to us warning them, right? Because we're trying to tell them Count Orlok is in your back fucking yard. And this is their manifestation of denial of that.
Aleister Crowley, I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's buried in New Jersey.
Think I might have heard that.
Yeah, I'm like 60% sure. And don't forget, Rizzo has the Jersey accent, this plague character. And there's
Right.
nothing more contagious than an idea. Ideas are the highest
Right.
potent contagion there is. I think we're ready to move to the final picture if you want
All
to,
right.
Z.
Yeah, sure thing, sure thing. Oh, and it really was the final picture, eh? All right.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, there we go.
I want everybody to appreciate that Venus went retrograde, I believe yesterday, maybe the day before. Venus has gone retrograde. Andrew Tate, the man that everybody likes to hate, has arrived on the shores of America at the same time that Venus goes retrograde. Venus represents love, and one of her retinue is Anteros, unrequited love. And so when Venus is going retrograde, this spirit of unrequited love is going at a premium. And he lands in Florida, and the mayor of Florida or governor, makes a huge stink about it. And they record the governor's response. And then people even ask Trump about it and record Trump's response. And Andrew Tate is a huge Trump dick rider. He won't ever get off of Trump and Elon Musk's dick. And the reason is because he loves numbers. He's got a real stiffy for numbers, just like the Count
Right.
from Sesame Street, right? Isn't the Count from Sesame Street?
Yep. Yep.
You know, when I made this graphic, I thought the Count was from the Muppets. So I'm glad I caught myself before I
Yeah,
misread
yeah,
that.
no, he's definitely like hard Sesame Street, may make appearances, but he's definitely Sesame Street like is his home rank.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he has arrived from where did Andrew Tate spend all that time in prison, locked away?
Somewhere in the Middle East, right?
Romania, Zaralath.
Wait, it was in Romania?
He was in a Romanian prison, just like Orlok, locked away, stewing in his
Isn't that when he
unrequited
came out?
love.
Didn't he come out? Did he go in not Muslim, come out Muslim in that, and he made a whole press thing about it? Wasn't that a
He
thing?
he will be whatever pisses you off the most. Whatever is the most provocative, whatever gets the
Right.
most attention, that's what he is that day. And he went
Sure,
on
sure. I get it. I completely get what Andrew Tate is.
totally.
And
He's a number 8
yeah,
personality
yeah,
to the max. He is a
and
number 8 personality.
yeah, yeah, and he's seems to be a terrible person all the same
Well,
because I caught a tastefully censored clip of some of the shit that came out with allegedly teenage girls,
yeah. Yeah.
and so
He's totally an asset. He's an asset of the highest order. Riding Elon and Chump stick like that, he's totally an asset, and he knows it. He doesn't even pretend he's not.
right,
But he won't take the shades off and also notice the safety deposit boxes behind him. So he does this 3.5 hour interview on PBD podcast, which I'm not even sure who that, whatever, who that, I'm not on. Oh, Patrick Bet David. That's it. PBD, Patrick Bet David. And he goes on for 3 hours and just squirts his masculinity all over everybody's face and laughs the whole time. But he's wearing those shades. He's wearing those shades. He's from Romania, or he's living in Romania, which is the homeland of werewolf and vampire
right, right.
mythology. That's where Ovid was cast out. Ovid gave away the secrets to the killing of the king ritual between the lines in his body corpus. Oh, listen to this, Zeralath. Ovid wrote 3 books. The first one was the How to Conduct Love, and then he wrote another book on how to get people to fall in love with you, and then the marriage rates skyrocket in the culture because of Ovid's work. And
Mm,
then he writes another book called How to Sneak Around on Your Lover. And all of a sudden, all those marriage rates are skyrocketing. All of a sudden, they're sleeping around on each other. And then the courts are backed up because everybody wants to litigate over their marriages because everybody's cheating on everybody because Ovid wrote the book on how to cheat on your lover. And the courts had to force him to write his third and final problem reaction solution. The last book that Ovid wrote was The Cure for Love. The cure for love. Listen to the oxymoron, Zaralath. The cure for love. Would you
right.
say that 6 feet social distancing is a great way to cure humanity from love?
Right. Yeah, I get that. I get that.
And so
Um,
for his punishment, they
yeah.
cast him out to Romania. And that's a punishment because at that time, people would not understand his fancy language. Ovid was sent to a place where nobody gave a fuck about your fancy words. And he had to
Right.
live in a place where the culture didn't even appreciate his power. And that took his power away by sending him to Romania. And he also wrote Metamorphosis, which is what werewolves do when they metamorphose into another animal. And so the spirit of metamorphosis was immortalized in its final days in exile in Romania.
Okay. That yeah, that makes a tremendous amount of sense. Mm.
I love dropping these weeps. Are you impressed yet, Zaralath? Can I get a help?
Yeah, no, I'm
Wow.
always impressed, man. So okay, like me just I'm trying to hold. Probably should have like taken a note thingy so I didn't lose a thought. So
Yeah.
Okay, you've got over here the all these symbols, right? We know that you just spoke Venus, and so I see a great deal of. So let's just tell us about what you're saying with all of these, and
Yes.
I'm very fascinated to know why you picked to put that Venus that's going retrograde inside of Mars, because I believe they're going to be, I believe Venus is going to be tracking back, passing Mars as it's going back to Pisces, as Mars is now getting its fresh start in Aries.
Yes, great point, man. Yes, this the graphic with the planetary sigils is an old weave from a long time ago, but essentially, I'm kind of impressed at how the actual buttons that we use for mute, record, settings, present, and leave studio, they're actually perfect planetary sigils. And so, and it's not that they just look like the planetary sigils, is that the meaning that we use the button for is the spirit in the essence of the planetary mythology. And so when you go mute, when you go Pluto, when you stop talking for the last time, you're going into Pluto, you're going into Hades, you're going into the underworld.
Right.
There is nothing more mute than dying. And then the next one is the camera. Well, sure enough, that's Oranos, and Oranos has is notorious for invisibility, for having the helmet of invisibility. So the button we use for being visible or not being visible is the button of Oranos. And then the settings button is, of course, Saturn with the six-pointed crown on his head. It's also a gear or a cog, and that's his cogito ergo sum. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
right. And then present, I put the sigil for Earth, which is I'm taking some liberties here because it's actually a square with the plus in it. But I'm putting that as Earth because that's where we are present here.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the Leave Studio is a red button with a plus sign in it. So the red is aspecting Mars,
Huh.
but in the old Venus sigils, sometimes she has the plus turned upward into the circle. So it's kind of got both. And Venus and Mars are one planet removed from where we are. They're exactly one planet removed in both directions, one
Yep.
inside and one outside.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then I got this picture of Friedrich Nietzsche, Ray, and Salome is one of the few pictures of them together, almost like they're frontiersmen going looking for that commune, that fated abandoned monastery off in the wilderness. And Salome is holding a whip. Can you see that she's got a whip in her hands?
Oops, hold on. Uh that's I think that's actually a flail.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, because you see it's short and then it's tasseled at the bottom.
right. You're right. That's
Yeah,
technically a flail.
yeah, and a flail that's going to be used for that gets used for a couple of different things, and I think that's what was used by um Fjolnir in the Northmen when the plagues had come upon his village, his state, what, because mushrooms, and he, it was one of his, like, shepherd implements, and I think it was kind of a flail-esque thing because he'd be waving it like a wand in front of them, trying to like beat the spirit out of them without touching his friends, right? This kind of thing.
Interesting. Very
Um,
interesting.
yeah, yeah. So her holding that thing in the cart, there's obviously she's whipping, like, these are her boys, like, pulling the carriage,
Right.
right? They're
Totally.
they're kind of like dual simping for her.
That's exactly it. It's so pathetic. It's so pathetic. It's
Yeah,
it's and so then also I put caption for Anteros, the Avenger of Unrequited Love, uh, as he is part of the retinue of Venus. There's a whole list of erotes that are still around today. They're still valid. All of the erotes from the Greeks, and Anteros is a very important spirit of the unrequited love that uh, Friedrich Nietzsche was suffering. He was suffering from that unrequited love. But then also, I just want to point out Andrew 8, that controller domineering with the shadow of lust. He's got this weird thing with his glasses. He's always popping them on and off. And in a fun way, that just kind of reminds me of the vampire who, that's how they end up killing him. They make him stay out too late, and then he gets burnt up in the sunlight after she sleeps with him for a prolonged period. He's out past his curfew. And that's what Andrew Tate is doing right now. He's actually out on bail. So he's only allotted a certain amount of time to be here. And if he stays here too long, then there'll be a manhunt. So the taking the risk that the Nosferatu does in the film, that's what Andrew Tate is doing to be here right now. He's got court dates that he has to go answer to back in Romania. He's got to get back to his coffin or else he'll catch fire. And I sent you one more graphic that is just this is extra credit. This is not necessary. But the host of the show, let's see, I sent it to you recently, so it might not be uploaded. I sent it to you after you started this running through these.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. I see.
The host of the show is this guy named Patrick Bet David,
Okay.
which I could go on and on about that name. But as I'm watching him host the show, and everybody's being triggered, right? It's just designed to trigger at all costs, whatever we can do to trigger. It's in the Telegram. It might not be.
No, I got it. I'm
Okay.
just trying to get. Hold on a sec. I think I have to restart the. I'm gonna reshare it in just a second. I think I have to
Nice.
open it up.
That thing about the count, being obsessed with numbers,
Yeah.
it's really gratifying. If you listen to Andrew Tate in this interview, he's actually guessing numbers. He's like, yeah, I think 70% of the women are on webcam services, and then they go and they check his math, and then he was correct. And he's like, boom, boom, numbers, baby, numbers. He's like talking about how he never gets numbers wrong,
Yeah.
just like the count. But yeah,
I am interested. Also, I want to see because I don't remember the Muppet Christmas Carol, and I kind of want to hear. Actually, tell us about this picture. I'm going to see if
Okay.
this is going to say anything relevant. So, talk about the picture, but also I may
Yeah.
miss something.
All is well. All is well. Yeah. So this Patrick Bet David character, I'm looking at him and I'm like, I mean, I'm sure this is just a legitimate coincidence. I'm perfectly aware that there are tons of people who look like each other and have nothing to do with each other. But in the economy of provocation right now, a lot of people, their skin is wearing thin. A lot of people are eager to emote. And I just find it really fascinating how much the Bet David dude is looking so much like little man Zelensky here. And I just learned a word. I talked about it on my channel. Oliganthropy. Oligantropy. Oliganthropy is a situation that happens in war when they run out of soldiers and they have to go black bag random dudes and put them in conscription and force them to go to war. That's called oliganthropy, and it means little man. And they actually put little man Zelensky on a high backed chair so he looks more diminutive. And they don't even give him shoulder pads. They don't dress him in a suit with shoulder pads like all the other professionals.
Mm-hmm.
They put him in this particular garb so he looks
Yeah. Yeah.
diminutive.
Yeah. Whatever. It's kind of it's just like whoever thought. Like I heard that that right after his meeting in Europe, he folded like a and I'm laughing like it's like I don't know whether I don't know what I'm supposed to be for or against on the, like I don't have the I know what I'm supposed to be for or against on the upper level, and I know how I like to see the world be a better place. There's the intermediary stuff going on between those two functions. I don't know how to fucking judge it, but I need to allow myself to fucking like laugh at what feels like wins and losses, right? So you know, I'm looking at this and I find it hysterical how, you know, people that just don't understand. It's like it literally knocked the wind out of their freaking like perception of reality fast. Like I was expecting eventually for reality to blow up in their faces on the narrative. I didn't expect that in the same fucking week the guy would turn around and fucking be like, wait, no, I still need to make a deal with you. I'm gonna be a little bit better behaved now.
Yeah. The publicity stunt of the Oval Office was completely perfectly timed to the dynamics of the heavens. It was exactly the day after we did our show with Robert Phoenix, Zarelath.
Right. It was.
It
It
was right.
was.
Yep. So Uranus had come out of retrograde a few weeks ago. Only 6 days later, Jupiter comes out of its retrograde. And then the night that we did the show was Mars coming out of retrograde. Uranus is Zelensky. Chumpster is the bully planet of
Taurus.
Jupiter in Taurus, right next to
Jupiter and Taurus.
Aldebaran.
Oh yeah, Jupiter and Taurus.
Yes.
Fuck yeah, man. Yeah.
And then JD Vance is
Ah!
is Mars. And Jay Deviance was the one who really upped the ante in the conversation, who was the most provocative.
Right. Right.
And that is exactly how they're sitting in the sky. The seating position in the publicity stunt was the seating position of the Theos, the racers, the planets in the heavens.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, no, I mean like his posture was just like when he pops out of the car, he pops out of the car in the tracksuit with this big ass smile on his face. He's like this kid. He's like the, you know, it's just like my country has been devastated. Hi, boss.
Yeah. You know, I have a kind of a side weave I'm cooking on Zelensky. I think he has his entire career could be summed up in the correspondence between fame and famine. He is living the living embodiment of fame, as the Greek goddess of her name is Fama, Fama or Feme. And see, so he is living in fame. He's a celebrity to the max. He's total Actors Guild all the way. But in a strange way, he's also the linchpin for famine.
I got something, by the way. I'm glad
Okay.
you mentioned famine because it is the topic of I had a decent hunch. I didn't even listen to the whole skit, but the
Yeah.
first line is like right there.
All right, let's do it. I got no sound.
You can hear that, right?
Do it again?
Did you hear that?
No, I'm
Oh,
not getting
okay,
any
hold on.
sound.
Let me hold on. Let me share again. 1 second. Oh, there we go. Share also yes, also share audio. My bad. Wait, that was active? Then why did it not work? Oh, it has to be done in the tab, that's why. Or the entire screen.
So just a quick little,
Okay, okay, 1 second. I gotta fix this.
okay,
Sorry.
I'll just do a side weave. So our buddy Donut, he's always given me props for for predicting that Andrew Tate would get out on the exact day that he got out of prison, and I guess I was maybe a month or two ahead of the stage, and that is because Andromeda is the prisoner of the heavens. Andromeda is also correspondent to Prometheus, who is chained up on a cliff. And this chained character that is the Andromeda constellation its placement is a sacred location. It is X marks the spot on the Analima. And so he was talking about Andrew Tate being locked away in prison. And I'm looking at the biggest 8. I call the Analima, I call it the Akh Alt. It's the highest 8 there is. And I said that Andrew Tate would get out around 4:15. And sure enough, he did. And Donut has been singing my praises ever since. But I just want to mention, Donut might have missed the fact that I also predicted that Jacob Chansley would get out the same week. Another
week, wow,
chained
okay.
character being released in complete concordance to the heavens.
Okay. All right. So here, you should be able to hear this one. So here's Rizzo and Tucker Carlson. Hold on. Oops. Come on. Good. Oh, I'm clicking on the image. I'm not clicking on the video.
Delicious. Tuppence a piece. Wow.
Okay. Did you hear it?
All good, all good.
All right. Good. Good. Turn up the volume a pinch more.
Oh, they last.
They won't last long the way you're eating them.
Hey, I'm creating scarcity. Drives the prices up.
Rizzo, hello. Welcome to the Muppet Christmas Carol. I am here to tell the story.
And I am here for the food.
My name is Charles Dickens.
And my name is Rizzo the Rat. Hey, wait a second. You're not Charles Dickens.
I am too.
No, a blue furry Charles Dickens who hangs out with a rat.
Absolutely.
Charles Dickens was a 19th century novelist, a genius.
Oh, you were too kind.
Why should I believe you?
Well, because I know the story of A Christmas Carol like the back of my hand.
Prove it.
All right. There's a little mole on my thumb and a scar on my wrist from when I fell off my bicycle.
No. Don't tell us your hand. Tell us the story.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
All right. So, yeah,
Damn.
famine, scarcity, not too much else to the sket, unless you picked up on anything profound.
Yeah, totally. Totally, man. Why should I believe you is a hail back to the Aesop's Fables. And I forget what number it is, but there's an Aesop's Fable between the zebra and the boar. And that line is from a particular Aesop's Fable. And here we are looking at children's stories, right? And not realizing how much profundity is packed into children's stories. But yeah, that's between the zebra and the boar is one of Aesop's Fables where, yeah, that I think they just did a hail to. And I think that particular fable was written by Socrates in prison. But that would take us on a whole gallivant off into La La Land of the uncharted realms. But yeah, and the I'm producing scarcity, dude. That's exactly, and gosh. So Anthony Fauci is kind of that self-aware spirit of the rat that is breaking the fourth wall all the time, right? That's kind of what Rizzo is all about. He's like, this is just a film. We're just this. He's always speaking truth that transcends the fourth wall.
Well, I think I think there's a handful of Muppets that it's kind of in their MO to be doing that, right?
You're right. You're right.
I think I've never seen. I'm not sure if Miss Piggy has done it, and I'm not counting like more. Like I don't watch Disney I when it was good. Yes, there's a handful of Disney Muppet things going on that was good. But, I'm talking about Jim Henson canonical, Brian Henson when he still had like good control, and all the decent stuff that came out of all that.
Yeah. And, one other thing, I think you'll dig this, Erlat. I believe that the Muppets they're specifically not puppets, and they should never be perceived as puppets. They're animated from underneath. They're animated from below. And the reason we've been desensitized from the value of what puppetry is because they were using puppetry in the moon landing hoax. They want us to forget how these illusions are animated. So they had to switch the entire motif to be sock puppets or sock Muppets from below as opposed to strings holding them suspended from above.
Right. And then we didn't bring it back in a real way until, for both funny and socially conscious reasons, the Trey Smith part, the South Park guys made Team America World Police.
Right. Yes. And they were strings, right? Weren't they on strings?
Yeah, that was all on strings. That was all done to be exactly like the old school puppet theater action TV shows.
Totally.
Where they had like cool like models that flew out of mountains and stuff, and yeah, that's what was all done, and like they literally they went all out on the budget, so everything was there. They had like bigatures of like dams that they blew up and shit. Like they filmed a because they wanted to like the guys talked about it, said they wanted to play it like a straight face like Joel Schumacher production or what like they use like the industry standard for like atypical military industrial complex propaganda movie, right? The stuff that's all like badass, like your Arnold Schwarzenegger movie kind of juice, you know, because it's meant to be that you know, that mocking mirror of the farce of what had been American foreign policy, you know, after 9/11.
Great point. Great point. Yeah. It's almost designed to prime us for the revelation of the moon hoax, which is going to be a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. I sent you one more, Zaralath, and then we can call it if you want to.
I don't see why I wouldn't. We don't even. I mean, fuck, man. We don't even have to call it. I got nothing to do tomorrow. I'm not working tomorrow.
Right on. Right on. So yeah, this Muppet project is incredibly rewarding, and I almost sense that there's enough for a person to make a career out of. You know what I've discovered with the Color of Law CIA costume department that is the tarot cards. When I overlay it onto the Muppets, there's so much revelation. I actually have to pump the brakes and just set the project aside from time to time because it's the gift that keeps on giving. But do you remember these guys, Statler and Waldorf?
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Man. Yeah, man.
You know, there's always a handful of their style of jokes in my, like, come on, man. I sound like a guy that laughed at their jokes.
Totally.
Okay, give us a super, like, not too, like, I'm gonna run upstairs and get a drink. So
all right,
entertain everybody in Prime because I'm not gonna hear you while I'm upstairs.
Ugh. You got it, buddy. Yeah. So Statler and Waldorf are actually named after these buildings in New York, and they are the hecklers. They're up they're aloof. They're in the loft. They're up high. They're looking down on everybody. They're condescending. They're the elders. They're from the old guard. And sure enough, I believe that when the Peanut the squirrel was assassinated and everybody made a big stink over it, it was a low-key subliminal trigger for the fact that we actually euthanized so many elder people through the lockdowns. And so when they said that rest in peace to Peanut, some of us that are in the fifth generation who took in these fish hooks, these triggers, they're subliminally pressing the pressure point of euthanizing the elder. But look at Statler in his nose, in his face shape, and then scroll down to Suni Williams, trapped in the ISS, the Great Stargate Tragedy Strategy. Can you scroll down on the image?
Yep. Oops. What's that?
Look how much Suni's facial features correspond to Statler. They're stuck in the satellite up in the sky, and they're not in a relationship, but it's kind of presumed that they're getting bored and there might be something going on that is not disclosed to the masses. Well, in the details of Statler and Waldorf, the actors, it says that Their actual names, the actors' names, are Hunt and Henson. They would continue to perform the two characters until Henson's death in 1990. To portray the characters, Hunt and Henson shared very close space, often for hours at a time. That's in the biography of the actors, and that's exactly what is happening to Suni and Butch in the ISS. They're in extremely close quarters for many hours at a time, sharing a close space. Very fascinating correspondences. So, yeah, and I just wanted to bring this together with the aspect of, in the ISS, they're on strings, they are puppets up on high. But in the Muppet films, they're animated from below with the hands.
Right. Yeah, yeah. That's yeah, and all of it is from below. There isn't any at all. I mean, there might be like at one time or another an engineering system that requires a couple of strings on top, but it's all designed for below or behind, right? Because a lot of times, if you ever watch the making of the Labyrinth, they talk about how uh, uh, for the Dance Baby Dance scene, the entire stage is complete Swiss cheese because there's all these actors behind all the puppets that for everybody that wasn't a midget in a suit.
That's great. Yeah, Labyrinth was a good one. That was a real classic. Freaking Bowie. Yeah, man. Nosferatu de-occulted here today. You heard it here, folks. We demystified the F out of the Nosferatu. Uber mentioned Andrew Tate spell.
Yeah. Andrew Tate is he's he's a piece of work.
He's the cure to love, that's for sure.
Right. Okay, so let's take a look. Let me take a look at the chat room real quick. Just a handful of guys have been commenting throughout. Peaceful Penguin is here. Chris Lands, Tim Timony, Ronin Experience. She is Moonfeather, Saniko, and Telonius Terp. Most of these guys are people that I know. Some of them I maybe don't remember if I do. So welcome to the people I don't know so well. And there was a couple of comments that actually sounded kind of good.
Yeah.
Peaceful Penguin said, we're historically the period following the heliacal rising of the star system Sirius, known colloquially as the Dog Star. All right, so that's a very early on comment. All the comments are here because there wasn't much activity. Saniko says, the Ovid, I know, wrote Metamorphosis, which is very good and eye-opening to flesh turning to stone. And he owns okay, Saniko, I think he's talking about Andrew Tate, that he's a Syrian. He owns a sports team, has a podcast, and is a billionaire. Thunderbirds is the name of the puppet show I was trying to think of.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Send her. Okay, yep.
Nice. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, okay,
everybody.
so that was everything. Yeah, that was everything. Greek origin. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so Nosferatu is in Greek. It means plague carrier. In Greek, apparently. Nosferatu.
Very fascinating.
Right. That's probably so. If that means that, then they probably name rats that because they came to realize that they carried plagues. Even though they don't, but they do. Whatever. I'll have a pet rat. I'm fine with it. Yeah. Okay. So I think that we're done. For the most part. I'll say this much about Nosferatu just to make sure that I think everything framing this thing up to be said is that is that this is I enjoyed the fact that it just showed you, you know, this movie is a great example of why I don't think people should do things like Enochian magic, Solomonian magic, right? This is the dangers of invocation, and why it's so important to be doing the work of knowing yourself and realizing how much power you have, and realizing that you've already got a handful of very helpful spirits in your world that you don't have to invoke. They're just there because they're there for you for various different reasons. And that's all good and in the natural course of things, and nothing to be afraid of. You know, guardian angels. You know, it's like the elves. They laugh. Oh, they think we're angels, right? It's like that. Anyway,
That's great.
all right. All right. So I think that's good. So we're going to bring this. Let me see here. So I think I want to hit the stop button. All right. So we're going to bring it to an end. You can check out Slick Dissident channel. The link to his YouTube channel is below. And you know, stay tuned tomorrow. I'll see if I got some time to do another 9 Doors of Midgard, and I'll let you know when Robert Phoenix is back. I'll let you know when I get a few other people that I want to do and on the channel, and so on and so forth. And I will catch you guys on the flip side.
Big love and respect, y'all.
Okay, we're off air.
Right on, buddy. Woo!
All right.